Welcome back. Let's talk about myopia and depression. In particular, high myopia and depression, and that's an email I get fairly often and messages I get, but people just, especially starting out with high myopia, one, the question is, can I even improve this? Common question. And two, it's just a general sense of, I'm too far gone. And in part, that's probably because I give realistic improvement rates, which is about 1 diopter a year. So somebody who's got minus 10 diopters, minus 12 diopters, so even 6, 7, 8 diopters, they're looking at the timeline and they're only thinking about being back to 2020, and they think, wow, this is 10 years, 12 years, forever away. And they get depressed. And then once in a while I get an email about it. My feeling is that for every message I get, there's probably a lot more people who take one look at this and be in a state of general unhappiness, because high diopter myopia really can affect your mental state and well-being, obviously, and they just give up. So I'm making this quick little video here just to shed some proverbial light on this subject. And the main thing to realize is part of the cause for you feeling down, especially when confronting high myopia, is because you have high myopia, because not the concept of high myopia, but because those lenses that kill your peripheral vision, like you can't see anything besides the optical center of your lenses clearly. Everything around it becomes distorted. The higher the diopter the lenses are, the more you're dependent on the optical center of the lens. The lower your myopia is, the more your eyes can roam around, the more the surface of the lens gives you a reasonable refractive state that'll work. But the higher the myopia gets, the more you get into this tunnel of the optical center is where you need to be. So it locks your eyes into this place. And then because we have a big amount of peripheral vision, like I can see both my hands right now and they're on the side of my head, right? Like you don't have that benefit with high myopia, like everything's in blur. And there's all sorts of, obviously, evolutionary bits here to consider, right? Like, is an animal gonna eat me? That's what I have peripheral vision for. When you're lacking that peripheral vision, your visual cortex is in a permanent state of alarm to some extent, because you're lacking this, right? Like it's bringing you down, and it's bringing you down for many other reasons too, because just the physical activities that you're probably not doing, just the general, like if you've had myopia since you're a kid, as I have, kids in sports and bullying and teasing, a lot of those things, add it all up, and once you're sitting in front of maybe this video, watching this with just not the best general state of mind. Now, the reality is this: there is a noticeable difference between every diopter that you reduce. So if you're at -6 right now, or at -10, or at -12, getting 1 diopter lower won't take you that long. The first diopter won't take you that long. It makes the distortion in the periphery a little bit less. It improves the optical quality of the image a little bit. It makes the lenses a little bit lighter. It makes the whole image in front of you a little bit larger, because minus lenses, the one thing minus lenses do is make everything smaller, right? So it's gonna take me 12 years to get back to 2020. How long is it gonna take me to be 1 diopter lower, which is 1 diopter better in how I see the world around me? That's really the goal. The goal isn't perfection, right? Like 2020, of course, is the ideal scenario, but that's not today's goal. Today's goal is the first reduction. And I've had countless emails from people and messages from people, and sometimes I try to post them online to share the benefit and the enthusiasm. The 1 diopter makes a difference. Like you put especially, you may not notice it as you're progressing, because it's such a slow, steady thing. You're going down a 1/4 diopter at a time, 1/2 diopter sometimes with high myopia at a time. But when you put on the starting glasses that you started out with last year, you're like, wow, everything will be noticeably smaller, right? And noticeably more compressed into the center of the image, and you're gonna see a lot more distortion around the image than your current lower diopter glasses. And that's the point that you realize, like up front, you're investing a little bit of faith that this is not going to make your mental state worse going through this actively exploring your eyesight process. But once you're that diopter lower and you put on the higher diopter lenses again, that's when you go, okay, this makes a difference. Like there is value in me continuing to do this. You have to start, right? You just have to start, and you have to find solace in the experimenting of measuring centimeters and measuring eye chart, and realizing that right now you're not starting off at the world's most awesome place, but you're headed in a better direction. And there's a ton of stuff on YouTube that there's some guy that's really overcome a lot of adversity, and he talks a lot about that overcoming adversity is the value. Like, he seeks out challenges. I don't. But this guy, like, he hates running, but he runs because he says the challenge of doing something that he hates doing creates a mental toughness that improves the quality of life. So that's kind of a far stretch for me, but those are the kinds of things I think that may help you get motivated along the way if you watch some of these other kind of ideas that center around the idea of doing something difficult to get to somewhere awesome. When you're at that lower diopter, you're going to be pretty happy that you are. And then at that point, it's easy. Like, most people who manage the first diopter and 2 of reduction go all the way back to 20/20 eventually, because from that point on, you're, I don't want to say addicted because that sounds kind of negative, but you're really engaged and involved in, okay, I got here, and the same habits are going to get me to the next one. Not like running. There's no overwhelming effort at that point. You just maintain habits. And as long as you do maintain those habits, you continue the improvement, and every diopter, it opens up your world. Like, literally, as the minus lenses go lower, the image gets larger, the field of view gets wider, the quality of the image gets better, the image gets brighter. You improve. And the way you'll be able to tell is when you go back to the previous old glasses going, wow, that was rough, what I was wearing before. So, not to belabor the point, start somewhere. It's, even if you're depressed today, this video is not going to talk you out of depression. All I'm doing here is saying there's a way from where you are at today to a better place. And today is just a starting point. It's fine to be unhappy about it. It's not fine to stay there, ideally, right? Like, you want to get out of that spot. So try that. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I am in the jungly jungle, by the way, as usual. And whatever, subscribe, thumbs up, see you in the next one.